Narita International Airport buzzed with its usual symphony of soft announcements, rolling suitcases, and distant boarding calls. But amid the crowd, a rare silence rippled as a black Rolls-Royce Phantom glided silently to a private terminal entrance. The chauffeur stepped out briskly, opened the rear door with precision, and out stepped a Japanese woman unlike any other. She wore a stunning fusion of tradition and wealth, a silver and black kimono laced with silk embroidery, its folds hinting at a power not just earned, but inherited and refined. No security, no entourage, no noise, just presence. Her name wasn't on any public manifest. There were no PR flashes, no welcome crews. Yet somehow, the staff bowed slightly deeper when she passed. She ascended the private jetway, boarding Flight 7A bound for New York. Her seat. 1A. First class. Window. She settled into the leather recliner with the grace of a queen and pulled out a jade matcha bowl from her personal kit, preparing her tea like a sacred ritual. No selfies. No calls. Just silence and observation. Meanwhile, in the cockpit, Captain Edward Matthews scanned the passenger list. A tall, rugged man in his 50s, decorated with years of flying, and an ego to match. He noticed an unfamiliar Japanese name marked VVIP in first class. "I didn't sign off on this," he muttered. Later, during the final walkthrough before takeoff, Edward strutted down the aisle, double-checking seatings. His boots clunked as he stepped into first class and spotted the woman in seat 1A. Composed. Sipping matcha as if the plane belonged to her. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said curtly, stopping beside her. "First class is fully reserved. I believe you're in the wrong seat." Without speaking, the woman opened her clutch and slowly pulled out a jet-black metal card, matte finish, engraved with a phoenix emblem in platinum. She held it out silently, offering no explanation. Captain Edward barely glanced at it. "I don't care what card that is," he snapped. "You either move, or I'll have you escorted off." The passengers seated nearby began to take notice. A teenage girl discreetly started recording on her phone. Still, the woman remained calm. Unshaken. Her gaze locked with Edward's. And then, in a moment of pure arrogance and rage, he did the unthinkable. He slapped her. A brutal, resounding strike across her face. Gasps filled the cabin. The sound of a cup dropping. The girl's phone now recording in full view. An elderly man muttered, "Oh my God!" The woman didn't fall. She didn't flinch. She simply placed her matcha bowl down with care, stood up slowly, adjusted her kimono, and walked away. No drama. No protest. But as she passed the front bulkhead, she looked straight up at the security camera in the ceiling, and smiled. Just once. Cold. Knowing. Like a queen whose trap had just been sprung. By the time Flight 7A landed in New York, the slap had become more than just an isolated incident. It had become a symbol. The 6-second video, recorded by the teenage girl in Seat 2C, exploded on social media. It spread like wildfire across TikTok, Twitter, and news sites around the globe. The clip was grainy but clear enough, an American captain raising his hand and slapping a Japanese woman in first class. Her face remained hidden for the most part, thanks to her long black hair and the angle of the recording. But the sound, the crack, was unmistakable. Hashtag Captain Assault. Hashtag Who is she? Hashtag Airconnect Scandal. Within hours, the video had over 60 million views. Airconnect Airlines scrambled to respond. Their PR department released a sterile statement. "We are aware of the disturbing video circulating online. The captain involved has been placed on temporary administrative leave pending investigation." Meanwhile, in a dimly lit bar at JFK Airport, Captain Edward Matthews sat with two fellow pilots, sipping whiskey, visibly unfazed. "This is all overreaction," he grunted, waving his glass. "She was probably some spoiled brat with a forged pass. These people think the rules don't apply to them." One of the younger pilots shifted uncomfortably. "But the card she had, that was a Phoenix Black, wasn't it? That's like Ultra VVIP. Edward scoffed. "Please. I've seen hundreds of those. Half of them are knockoffs." Back in Tokyo, however, a very different scene was unfolding. Inside a skyscraper office lined with bamboo and glass, the boardroom of Airconnect Holdings was quiet, too quiet. At the head of the table sat Mr. Nakamura, the enigmatic board chairman, flanked by silent executives. The CEO, an aging American named Tom Henley, had just landed and was sweating through his dress shirt. Nakamura didn't speak at first. He simply opened a red folder and slid a single glossy photo across the table. It was the woman from Flight 7A. Elegant. Unmoving. Her expression unreadable. Under the photo, bold characters. Yuna Kazuko. Primary owner. Airconnect Holdings. 100% private shareholder. Estimated net worth, $12.7 billion. The CEO blinked. Wait, she owns us. Nakamura nodded. She is the soul behind the airline. It was her father's legacy. And now it's hers. Silence. Tom Henley began to stammer. Why didn't she identify herself? We had no idea. She wasn't there to be known, Nakamura said coldly. She was there to be respected. The room froze as the reality sank in. Yuna Kazuko wasn't just some passenger. She was the airline. 3 days passed. The internet roared with speculation. Who was the mysterious woman in the viral slap video? Why hadn't she spoken out? Why hadn't she sued? Airconnect Holdings remained eerily silent. No new press releases. No updates. Just a calm before a coming storm. Captain Edward Matthews, however, was finally starting to feel the heat. Protesters had gathered outside Airconnect's New York offices. Petitions were calling for his license to be revoked. News anchors debated whether the incident was racially motivated or just an abuse of power. His neighbors had begun avoiding him. Even his daughter had texted him, "Dad, what did you do?" Then, out of nowhere, a call came in. From corporate. "We need you back," said the voice on the other end. "You're being reinstated. Full uniform. First-class flight to Tokyo. Tonight." Edward blinked. "Wait. What? I thought I was grounded." "You're not. This is from the board." They didn't offer more, and he didn't ask. He hung up, grabbed his suitcase, and walked into JFK with his shoulders squared, chest out. Back in control. Back in power. He boarded Flight 7A, the same aircraft, same first-class seat. Passengers glanced at him as he sat down, but he ignored them. The seat felt like a throne again. An hour after takeoff, the cabin lights dimmed and soft ambient music played. Then the curtains parted. She entered. Yuna Kazuko. The same woman he had slapped. But now she was draped in a shimmering white kimono threaded with silver phoenix feathers, her hair tied into an imperial knot. She didn't walk, she glided. Every passenger turned. Silence fell. 2 assistants followed her, but she didn't need them. She walked straight toward Captain Edward and took the seat directly across from him. He sat frozen. She looked at him for a long, uncomfortable second. Then she spoke. Calm. Clear. No trace of emotion. "Did you enjoy your slap?" Edward stammered. "Listen, I didn't know who you were, and the flight manifest." She raised a hand, silencing him with a mere gesture. "You didn't care who I was. That was the problem." She turned to her assistant and accepted a sleek iPad. "I thought you should see this." She pressed play. Surveillance footage from the cabin, showing him barking at her, yanking her boarding pass, and striking her. Next clip, a recording from the bar, where he laughed about the incident, calling her some geisha in disguise. Then, a pause. A final file. His cockpit audio log. Rants. Arrogant commentary. Subtle racial remarks. Unfiltered ego caught on record. Edward's face drained of all color. Yuna took a long sip of tea and looked him in the eye. "I let the world speak first," she whispered. "Now it's my turn." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to, because the trap was already closed. And he had walked right back into it. The next morning, the world woke up to a bloodbath, not of violence, but of power. Breaking news. Airconnect stock plummets $105 million after CEO confirms slapped woman is full owner. Yuna Kazuko terminates entire executive board. Captain Edward Matthews fired, license revoked, under federal investigation. It was everywhere: CNN, BBC, NHK, Al Jazeera. Even business networks couldn't stop repeating the same headline. The woman behind the Phoenix card strikes back. Social media exploded again. But this time, it wasn't a question of who she was. It was how she waited, why she stayed silent, and what she was going to do next. At 11 a.m. Tokyo time, a press conference was called in the top floor of Airconnect Tower. Reporters packed the hall. Cameras clicked non-stop. Then she entered. Yuna Kazuko, dressed not in kimono, but in a sharp black business suit, flanked by 2 lawyers and her new COO, a female executive of Korean descent. Her presence alone silenced the room. She walked up to the mic, paused, and delivered her first public words since the incident. This is not about pride. This is about principle. No one, regardless of race, gender, or status, deserves to be humiliated, struck, or silenced. I was not anonymous because I was weak. I was anonymous to reveal what people truly are when no one is watching. She tapped the mic once. Calmly. Effective immediately, Airconnect is undergoing a full restructuring. Every executive who stood silent is gone. Every pilot, every attendant, every manager will undergo new training on conduct, ethics, and cultural respect. Because the skies do not belong to men with power. They belong to the people who respect it. The audience gave a standing ovation. Meanwhile, Captain Edward was shown being escorted out of his Manhattan condo by federal officers. Not just for misconduct, but for falsifying flight reports, racially charged remarks, and multiple ethics violations. His pilot license revoked for life. His pension frozen. His reputation destroyed. And as Yuna Kazuko walked past a sea of reporters, one shouted the final question. Miss Kazuko, why didn't you just reveal who you were when he hit you? She paused, turned slightly, smiled, cool and composed. Because real power doesn't need to announce itself. Then she walked through the glass doors of her own tower, disappearing into the light. And the world, finally, understood what it meant to underestimate the quietest person in the room.